Welcome to another presentation from Virtualize Everything, where we strive to educate and inform the viewer about technology and technology-related topics. Today's presentation is going to be about building a $700 home lab virtualization server. So we're not going to actually be assembling this system. There's plenty of great guides on the internet where people do just that. I unfortunately didn't have the budget to purchase all of these parts and assemble such a system for you today. But what I am going to do is I am going to take you through all of the components that I would use and explain to you why I would use them to build a home virtualization server. All of these components were priced and picked from Amazon, and the Amazon links will be provided in the description for every item. The first item that I chose was the NZT H510 mid-tower PC case. This is a full ATX case that offers a nice, clear, tinted, tempered glass side with a sleek, modern design and a power supply shroud so that you can hide all the wires from your system nice and neatly away. With a good, well-assembled build, this case will stun anyone. This case retails on Amazon for $69.99. The next component I chose was a 650 watt 80 plus bronze certified power supply. This power supply comes in at $49.99 on Amazon. Now this power supply may not be from the greatest name or the highest wattage or even the greatest certification, but it will provide you good, clean power at a good budget price. This power supply could be upgraded if you had a little bit more budget and wanted a better name, but it will be great for this build. The next component I chose was the ASRock B550 Pro 4 motherboard. This motherboard retails for $134.99 on Amazon and offers two PCI Express 16X slots, two M.2 NVMe slots, as well as two 1X PCI Express slots with 4 memory slots. Now, when you're assembling a virtualization server, one of the key things is memory next to storage. So this system will allow you to support up to 128 gigs of system memory if you can find large enough sticks. But it'll be easy to get 64 gigs of system memory in the motherboard, no problem. We won't be installing that much today, but there is great room with this motherboard for expandability as you're able to upgrade your virtualization server. The next thing I chose was a AMD Ryzen 5 2600 processor. This is a 6-core processor with 6 threads. This processor retailed for $189.57 on Amazon. Now, this is not the latest and greatest processor, but allowed us to keep the budget down. As you know, with 2021 prices, it is very difficult to find affordable PC parts today. So, this processor will offer you both good power and good stability at a decent power consumption and low idle state, and offer you the ability to support multiple well-performing VMs, as well as one even for gaming if you so choose to make the upgrades to your server to do that later. The next thing I chose was just a basic entry-level graphics card. This graphics card will get you running and allow you to start using your virtualization server to make VMs and learn. As most of Proxmox does not rely on the graphics card for generation of graphics for VMs, even when you're running a desktop, the PNY GeForce GT710 2GB card will be more than adequate for what you need for this system to get started. Remember, we have an extra 16x PCI Express slot open for more performance graphics computing later on down the road. This card retailed for $57.99 on Amazon. The next thing I chose was 16 gigs of RAM. This is 3600 megahertz DDR RAM and retails for $99.99. 16 gig sticks will allow you to add another 16 gigs of matching RAM in the extra 2 slots if you so choose later on down the road, but will give you enough RAM to get started making multiple VMs and playing around with virtualization. This will be a great amount of RAM for a system for a beginner. The next thing I chose was some high performance storage. Now, this storage could be used for high performance VM as well as your operating system. It's not large, and we're not going to be storing many of our VMs on this. But when you want to do reads and writes fast, maybe with a Kali VM or a Windows VM, it is nice to have this performance. This NVMe drive retailed for $39.99 on Amazon. The next thing I chose was a 1 terabyte platter drive for $47.49. This is a Seagate Barracuda, and it is a non-shingled memory drive, so it will perform fairly well. This drive will give you a large amount of storage for VMs and other projects that you may want on your Proxmox system. The last 2 components you will need, and I did budget them into the build, is thermal paste for your CPU. Now, the CPU may have a thermal pad on the Wraith cooler that it comes with, but I couldn't find that directly called out, so I added thermal paste for you if you needed it. You're also going to need one SATA cable to connect the Seagate Barracuda to your motherboard. That is all the components you will need to build a $700 home virtualization server to get started with virtualizing and doing home projects with Proxmox or other virtualization softwares. Now, if you plan to use something like vSphere, I cannot guarantee that you will not have to purchase an Ethernet card because I have not tested or researched which Ethernet card is on this motherboard. But I am fairly confident that the Ethernet card will work with Proxmox, as Proxmox is a Debian-based operating system and generally has driver support for most on-board devices. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click on the link to any component that you may have liked or follow along and build this system. Let us know if there's any other components that you would have chose in your $700 home virtualization server build down below in the comments. Thank you and have a nice night.